Baseball and Britishness do not really go together, but is that really true? After all, there was once a great boom in baseball in the United Kingdom. Great Britain were even its first world champions. This is the story of when Britain got baseball fever. Major League Baseball is about to return to London, with the New York Mets and the Philadelphia Phillies set to play 2 regular season games in London. It's part of the MLB's International Series, an experiment in the United Kingdom that has been running since 2019. MLB regular season games being played outside the United States is nothing new. Actually, since 1996, games have been staged all over the world, in Mexico, Japan, even in Australia. But in England, the home of cricket? Well, actually, when the New York Yankees and Boston Red Sox met in 2 games on consecutive days in June 2019, 110,000 people came to watch at West Ham's London Stadium. That was helped by the popularity of those 2 teams, and the UK also has a sizable American population, generally estimated to be around 160 to 170,000. Nevertheless, those 2 Red Sox-Yankee games sold out in less than an hour, so there's more appetite for the game than assumed. And actually, American teams have been touring in the UK for a very long time. In fact, exhibition games have been played in the country since around 1870. Albert Spalding, a former player who founded the sporting goods company of the same name, organized a 6-month world tour in 1888 and 1889 that passed through Australia, Egypt, France, Italy, where Spalding tried unsuccessfully to stage a baseball game in the Coliseum, and England. 2 teams, the Chicago White Stockings and the American All-Stars, played exhibition games all over the different countries. According to a report by The New Yorker, Spalding even brought along sideshow attractions, including an aerialist who hung on a trapeze from a hot air balloon before the game. In England, thousands of people turned up to watch games played at the Oval in Kennington and at Lord's in North London, which is known as the home of cricket. By all accounts, the then Prince of Wales was also in attendance too. It was reported that the spectators were hard-pressed to follow the action, and that some just saw it as a strange version of Rounders, the bat and ball game which dated back to the middle of the 18th century. Despite these obstacles, that tour, and the ones before it, seemed to have made an impact. By 1890, it was reported that almost 100 baseball clubs have been started in England, Wales, and Scotland. There was even a professional baseball championship. It was only staged once in that form, and in the aftermath, was blighted by accusations of cheating and the overemployment of talented American players. But it was won by Aston Villa in the days before they became solely a football club. Nevertheless, the sport gained enough traction to birth a National Baseball Association, later to become the British Baseball Federation as it is known today, and there are newspaper reports of teams drawn from British clubs facing American tourists during the 1890s, and matches between local footballing rivals, like Tottenham and Arsenal, during the early 20th century. New baseball facilities were even being built. Today, Derby County plays at Pride Park Stadium, but between 1895 and 1997, they played their games at the baseball ground, which, as per the name, was originally opened as a baseball stadium. The big British baseball boom was on the horizon. Charting the reasons why it occurred is not easy. There are some basic similarities to Rounders, which the English knew well, and many of the skills and coordinations required in cricket did cross over. It helped too that baseball was a summer game, and while that forced it to compete with cricket, it meant that it didn't impinge upon the country's more popular winter sports like football and rugby. But world events were also a catalyst that helped to stoke British curiosity. For instance, as catalogued by the British Newspaper Archive, a July 1916 edition of the Illustrated Sporting and Dramatic News reported during the First World War that one result of the influx of Canadian troops has been the awakening of interest in baseball. Leagues have been formed in some of big Canadian camps in England, and there is one, which consisted of 8 clubs, in the London district. It was not confined to London either. Between 1905 and 1920, the number of baseball clubs in Wales more than tripled. In England alone, there were 3 divisions. There were schoolboy and schoolgirl leagues too, and even rule variants across the different British regions. One impact which is hard to measure is the influence of American culture. Cinema going became increasingly popular in the 1920s and 1930s, and with it, through films' depiction of baseball, came an appreciation for what looked like a glamorous summer sport. The result was seen during the 30s, when participation boomed, and so did the crowds. Games were often played at Greyhound stadiums or in football grounds, and in some cases, attendance reached up to 10,000 people, including at Everton's Goodison Park. Legend has it that Dixie Dean, the top goal scorer in Everton's history, once represented England at Baseball 2, playing against a US select team in West London. The peak for British baseball came in 1938, when Great Britain and the United States faced each other in the Amateur World Series, today known as the World Baseball Classic. Great Britain drew their players from clubs in Oldham, Hull, Liverpool, Halifax, Bradford, and London, and were managed by a Canadian named Chummy McNeil, who, many years later, would actually be inducted into the British Ice Hockey Hall of Fame. The British won the series 4-1, scoring 20 runs to the Americans' 14. But the Second World War decimated sport in Britain. There was a revival post-war, and the game remained popular in Wales. Today, it is very much a minor sport in the United Kingdom, but there are still dozens of university teams, several national leagues, and a reinvented national championship, which, aside from the 9-year break from 1939, has been played continuously since 1892. The last 7 have been won by the London Mets from Haringey. If you like this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. The Athletic is home to the best team of sports writers, reporters, and analysts in the world, offering exclusive stories and unrivaled insight. You could try The Athletic for free for 30 days by clicking the link in the description.